Hey, welcome back, RC Crawler Talk. This is the Class 2 Sorrca based VRD carbon competition chassis kit build video. So the first episode went through and kind of give you a brief overview of what I'm looking to do. Bone stock, VRD carbon, shock oil, steering link, or steering servo arm, the whole nine. Just going to put some good electronics in it, some good wheels and tires. Pointed out at 50 points for Class 2 Sorrca. And we're going to see how well she does before I do any other kind of modifications. That means stock shocks, stock link geometry, stock links, stock chassis, yada, yada, yada. Box stock. Alright, so today's episode we're going to talk body work. So some of the things on Sorrca you want to pay attention to when you're building. Obviously, you want to look at the rules and rectangles. The big one is the body leading, the front edge of the body has to be beyond the front edge of the wheel, and the rear has to be past the trailing edge of the wheel. That's a big one. Width you got to worry about. Height, there's a height from the bottom of the slider to the top of the body or cage work of 4¼ inches. So we're going to be looking at that. I'm looking at lowering this body down, have it sit right on these metal sliders. So just kind of go over real quickly what I did, or what I'm thinking. When I set these up, I want as much clearance in the front as possible. I know I'm going to put a bumper with a stinger on the front. And on my other rigs, I had it right at the front edge, right at the minimums, right? So you look at those rules. Rectangles, all that stuff is in minimums. So I also have to consider, what I want it to look like. I want it to perform, but I also want it to look decent too. I don't want it to look like a robot. Still want it to look like a clodbuster square body. So what I've done is I've set this in a place where the distance from here to there doesn't look too bad. I think I'm going to end up taking this arch up to this body line and all the way to the front. I kind of dig the way that looks. We'll figure that out here. The back, obviously, because of the wheelbase of the chassis and the short wheelbase of the clodbuster body, it's going to leave a big opening here. But I know I'm going to cut this back. I'm probably going to end up bobbing it, which means I'm going to cut that and bring that thing back. So the rear tires are actually beyond the body and the bumper. But I definitely want the front tires in front of, so it hits the rock and the ledges first before it hits the body. So it's some of the things you want to keep in mind. If you built a comp truck or two, you kind of know what I'm talking about. And you kind of got to build to the course designers too, and how the course builders you run with, what kind of courses they like to set. I try to go bare minimum on everything on this thing. So that also means I want to drop this thing down as much as I possibly can. So for me, what I did, obviously performance is a big factor. Now looks. So because I want to drop it down, what I want to do is I want to drop the underside of that hood right on top of them front shock mounts. That would be the lowest I could get this body, right? So right now, as you can tell, I'm missing a wheel lug. We'll leave it just like that. It's all good. So I've already taken some preliminary measurements, and the 4¼ height is not going to be an issue. I have roughly 5 inches. What I did is I took just a level, put a level on it. I don't care if it's level or not. Just use a straight edge, whatever you got laying around. Top of the body, it's right about 5 inches from the bottom of the slider up. So I got 3/4 inch to play with. But unfortunately, a little tip here: if you're setting the body up, taking it off and on like this, it's loose. You're trying to locate it. Get it where you want, front to back. And what I did, I just put a little mark right there, so I kind of get it really close to where I had it. I'm starting to take measurements. So let's line up with that front edge of that slider. So I have 3/4 inch height that I can drop it. Unfortunately, between the shock hoops and the underside of the hood, I've only got 5/8 inch. So that means I'm going to cut this up 5/8 of an inch. Now in the rear bed is already sitting on those shock hoops. So I'm going to end up having to cut out a big hole in the bed, which I know I'm not doing a drop bed because of point wise. I went over that last video. Check that out. So I'm not worried about the drop bed. But what I am contemplating is separating the cab and the bed. And then, because I want to run a roll bar or headache rack with a winch hoop, side hoop, I'm probably going to cut the body. Then I'll space this backwards, roughly 3/16 of an inch, the size of my tubing that I'm going to use. And I'll make a little foot and I'll bolt it right to the stock slider with a button head going up. And then this way the hoop will follow the body line. The bed will be permanently mounted to the chassis. And then I'll just take the cab. I'll put little tubes going forward off of the roll cage. Put holes in here and just kind of slip it into there and drop it down. And then to hold it down in the front, I'm going to utilize a blower. A clodbuster blower. Got it on my class 1. It looks kind of cool. I like it, so that's what we're going to do. But I'm going to take that. I'm going to use that blower as my mount to the top. We'll probably either make something or print something that spans the shock hoops here with a set screw straight up that would line up with this hole. And then the bed will be mounted. Drop your cab on it, stick it on there like so, and take that blower and use that blower as the nut. That way it's no body clips. It'll look a little better. Fill up those holes. So I know I'm kind of going quickly here. It's I got to get some work done on this thing. I'm running out of time, so probably most of my work is going to be done off camera. But I kind of want to give you an overview of how I'm building my class. The one other key dimension you need to know is the slider needs to be no higher than the top of the rims when the truck is at full compression. Right? So compressed all the way down, wherever the top of that rim is, that slider and the lower portion of the body cannot be any higher than that. Now, I taped it across underneath, got it somewhat centered and stable. That way I can verify my measurements before I cut. Always remember, measure 12 times, cut once. And then now I need to go underneath and mark where the shock hoops are. I'm going to cut out a big section of that so the whole body, the bed will fit right over top of it and not worry about it after I get those cut off. Yeah, there she is, all cut up. You can see what I'm going for here. Nice and tight. It is still in front of the wheel, so we're good there. But definitely makes it look a little different, doesn't it? So now the next step. Well, first of all, I retransferred my little Sharpie mark straight up so I can, keep this at the same spot every time. Now we got to do some clearancing and make a decision. I got to make a decision if I'm going to pinch the front of this or not. But she's darn near right there touching. In fact, boop, boop, boop. It's right there. I need to decide if I'm going to actually pinch the front or not. I've never pinched the front of a hard body, so this might be a little interesting. What I'm gathering, we have to cut up along this line to a point somewhere up in here, maybe all the way to the hood line, and then heat it up. Well, make one cut there and then make your pie cut somewhere up in the front. You have to keep in mind that your width up front has to be half the distance between the inside wheel track width at the top of the tires in the front. So whatever that width straight across is, that is the narrowest I can go. And I found that more than likely that distance is too narrow for me. It puts it right at the frame rails, if not more. So I'll have to do some measuring before I make that decision. But if I pinch it first, I may be able to trim less here and keep more of the, this body line right in through here, which is kind of what I want to it to look like. So I got to do some measuring. I got to do some pondering. Again, I'm just gonna do it off camera. So in the back, now this is not even, this is at ride height. This isn't at you know, full compression or nothing. So I am gonna end up getting into the bed. So when it flexes, it's gonna clear all the bed if this is the actual height of that bed. But I'm gonna do, before I cut the bed off, I'm gonna do all of it and get it set and get it clearanced under full flex, up and down, all 4 tires, clear the back, clear the front. Cutting the bed and the cab will be the very last thing that I do. I'm pretty sure. Sorry. Next to the last thing, the bob will be the very last. So, so for information on how to cut it, what I use my handy dandy Milwaukee Dremel with a plastic cutoff wheel. If you didn't know they made plastic specific cutoff wheels, now you do. This thing's great. Take your time. I don't cut right at the line. I cut about, you know, a blade's width away from the body line or the tape line that I have marked, and then I come back with a block. You can either use a wood block or a metal block with some sandpaper around it, something that's, you know, it was about that wide, and I just sanded it so it's nice and flat. And I have a flat piece of steel for my weld bench that I made sure it was flat on. I didn't worry about cleaning up too much front and back because that's all going to get either cut away or whatever. But I wanted to make sure the rockers were nice and flat. So right now, yeah, that's really close. All right, so now I got to do some thinking and do some measuring and make a decision and start hacking. All right, that's better. I had to put you on a tripod. I need 2 hands for this. So if it's, we'll say 3 1/4, so that's 1 and 5/8, 1 1/2. If we go 3 1/4, yep, it's going to be 1 1/2. So I'm going to start at the 4 mark, right in the dead center, using a pencil, 1 1/2 plus 1/8. Close enough. 1 1/2 plus 1/8. All right. So now I'm going to lay it at that hood line. I'm moving it all over the place. That'll still put it just about outside of that. Just kind of raise it up, kind of eyeball the line. I got plenty of clearance for the shock hoops, right? Let me just do this again because I'm effing it around. All right, tell you what, let's put a piece of tape on it. Quit screwing around. Ain't got no time. All right, let's see. Corner. Right about something like so. Find my slider mark. Oop, open the tripod. I'll push down on this. I'm gonna still just moving around. Right about there. Oh, goodness. Yeah, we got plenty of room. But do I want to do it that hard? Currently, I have no wheel nuts on the tires and wheels, so they're falling off. All right. Boy, do I want to do it that hard. I don't think I do. I don't think we need that much clearance. So I might just give it a small pinch. How about if we do, let's peel that up. What it looks like if we did this? Right to that. Sorry if I'm breathing into the mic. I'll hold my breath. All right. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. Tons of clearance for the tires. Still have a decent look. So it's not a giant pinch, but that's okay. You know, I think the bigger the pinch you make, when you heat this side up, the more it's going to bow. So just moving it over a little bit, and it'll probably still bow, and I'll probably still have to come in and, you know, trim along here for full tire stuff. All right. Sometimes I gotta tape it out, mark it up, sit back, look at it, make that decision, and then go. So let me do that. We'll come back. All right. Well, the pinch is almost there. I didn't take a lot out, but I still have my little styrene slurry. It's kind of drying. The last coat. All right. So what I did, if y'all don't know how to custom body stuff, but what I use is I use this nice little fine, super thin saw. That's what I use. It keeps me cut in a straight line. And here is the passenger side part of the hood that I cut out. So I just went down the factory body line from the edge all the way to the hood. And then I picked how much I wanted it. I just put a piece of tape on this corner and back to that corner right there at the A-pillar. You can see where it's all filled in. I also drilled a hole across the top, because when you get done cutting, you'll still have top of this fender that rolls over, right? So kind of like that. So that's what it would look like all the way down once you cut this piece out. Now, if you just heat it up and bend it, you're going to have a little hard time. It's going to bend all funky. So you drill a relief hole right there, right where you want that bend to happen. And I just put a little bit of heat to it, and I used a heat gun that I have. This one I got a little too hot, so it kind of warped it, but that's all right. This thing is going to be all scratched up before you know it. And the other problem, once you cut this piece out, you're left with your hood sticking further forward than where your fender is, because you lose distance, right? So this is the factory edge. This is the factory edge. But then I took my body saw and I just cut a line actually I cut straight in, and then I kind of cut back this way just a little bit, probably 2 blade widths. And then I just add a little heat, and I bent the front of the hood backwards. Still left a gap, but that's what this filler is for. Styrene slurry, if they'll call it. I also went ahead and started filling the body pin holes, because I'm not going to use those. We're going to see how the underside holds up. A lot of guys will take sheetrock tape and like shoe goo and glue underneath, and use this sheetrock tape, or sheetrock tape, mesh tape. It's like mesh tape, and cut strips, and they just glue it down there, and then they put the slurry over top of that. It reinforces the cut line. I did not do that on this one. We're going to see how long this is going to hold up. But right now, this slurry is still kind of drying. If you don't know how to make a slurry, all I did is I took a bunch of scrap pieces of styrene. If I can't get this open one hand, find yourself a glass jar that closes nice and tight. Okay, I got it. So just take some little bits and pieces of styrene and some MEK. Go to Home Depot, get yourself a little bottle of MEK. Don't breathe it, using a well-ventilated area. But you take all these little bits and pieces, and you stick in this glass jar, throw some MEK in there, let it sit overnight, stir it a couple times. I think this took, probably about a day. And then I add a little bit more to thicken it up a little bit. But I like it consistency, so it kind of runny still. This might be too thin for some, not thin enough for others. But this is just what I do. And then you just take it just with this little popsicle stick. That's all that is. But the MEK is pretty strong, so definitely use in a well-ventilated area. Don't inhale it too much. Might make yourself feel a little funny. All right. So what's next? Oh, to fill the holes, as you can see, I just glued some little pieces of styrene on the bottom, and then put my slurry in the top. All right, let me put this lid back on. All right, lid's on. Body's out of the way. So the next thing I did now, I'm going to start looking at, while it's drying, I'm kind of planning on what I got to cut next. As you can see, I took the springs out. Side note, these Vanquish shocks, in my opinion, suck. These things are leaky sieves. I hope other people had better luck with them than I did. I thought it was a little bit of residual from, assembling them and bleeding them. Nope. I got air in them already, just sitting here. I'm not even driving the dang thing. But yeah, they're leaking. I put plenty of shocks together. Never had this kind of leak issue, except for the stock plastic axial from back in the day. All right, anyway, so I extend my little line up, getting it right back there where I wanted it. Now I'm looking. Okay, I took the springs out so I can get full compression, so I can see what I'm going to be cutting out next. And it looks like I'm going to be, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this lip or not. I'm probably going to take it out, but I'm probably going to go, I'm not sure how high I'm going to go. I might leave maybe 1/8 of an inch down, and then we'll work it up if I need to. The front, I'm definitely going to take it to this body line and then massage it. Got my knuckle in the way. I'll take it up to this body line. Again, probably taking this flare out. Nice little arch to that body line, all the way to the front. Cut that out, give it some flexing, and we're going to see how much more I need to clearance. Because I did the pinch, you can see how much room it's going to give. It's going to give lots of clearance. So doing that pinch, I don't have to cut up as much. That's kind of what I was going for. On the back of these clod bodies, though, you have kind of a semi-drop floor. That's why I want to kind of sneak up on that cut line. I don't want to get too far into that bed. End up having to dove it or something. Or not dove it, but, what they do, race cars with the big giant tubs. There you go. I don't want to tub that too much. Words are tough, as a good YouTuber once said. Okay, so I do still, again, I want to cut this, separate them, put the roll bar all the way down here. But I want to save that for very last until I get all the clearance issues. Keeping in mind, this is going to come back, 16th, 1/8 of an inch, whatever. I think it'll be fine if I cut it, the flare all the way out, and just take it up to here, or just below. Not sure if I kind of want to keep the tail lights. Still thinking on that when I bob it. So I got to keep that in mind. I got to decide that before I cut this. Because if I bob it and I want to keep the lights, then I can't cut all the way to the light. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm going to have to figure that out. Anyways, my first pinch. It's not too bad. I still got to do some sanding. For sanding, you had some 220 grit sandpaper, and once this slurry, now you think it's just kind of liquid styrene, but once that slurry hardens overnight, just come back, sands off super easy. If you have a flat surface, then I would take a piece of block of wood or something firm and wrap that sandpaper around and go to town. I may go get some finer grit, I haven't decided, but I also have some filler primer. When I paint, it'll take up all these little micro scratches, which is probably what I'll end up doing. Hopefully I can get to paint here before the weekend's out. Alright, this is probably going to be the end of this video, so bodywork part 1 will be done. Got to get something on the tubes. Anyways, hope you guys are enjoying it. I know I'm not showing you exactly what I'm doing, but I'm showing you the finished product, telling you how I did it. Have any questions, reach out. See what I can answer it. Alright, thanks for watching. Later.